So what is constraints? Constraint is limitation. So in order to do a project, there are some limitations that might jeopardize or might make a project manager stuck in the middle of the completion of a project. Okay. So the first constraint is the scope. Scope is defined as the the scope is actually the things that goes around the project. So for example, like the participation numbers, the venue, the spaces. So scope is something that can give you limitation in completing your project on time. For example, if you have a larger crowd, then you have a larger scope to control. Sometimes we are unable to control a larger scope because we have different types of individual with different personality, different character, different attitude. So these are the things what we call as a scope. So scope is one of the limitation or constraints to a project. Number two is cost. Cost is basically a very familiar constraints or limitations. Okay, you've done event management, you've done a lots of activities, you have been developed, organized lots of projects, events. So you should know that when you don't have a sufficient cost, this will also limit the time to complete your project, or it might limit your capability in creating a good project. Okay, but you need to remember, even though you are having a surplus number of costs, it doesn't mean that you are going to develop a good project. So a good project comes from a good project manager. Okay. Okay, number three is schedule. Refers to the project schedules of completion, including the deadlines for each phase. So sometimes we are trying to uh, follow the schedule on time. We wanted to finish the project on time, but due to some of the problems, or due to some of the constraints, due to some of the changes, the schedule might change, and this will affect the deadline. So schedule is definitely one of the constraints to a project. The last one is customer satisfaction. As you all know, it is hard for us to please everybody, because we do know that whatever we think best for ourselves might not be best for others. So customer satisfactions can be one of the limitations or the constraints to a project, because if the customer is dissatisfied with whatever you do, they are going to complain about it. So this will affect your reputations. Okay, therefore there you go, 4 types of constraint in a project. Okay, next, do you know what is unforeseen circumstances? Unforeseen circumstances is that something that is beyond our control. So we might forecast it, but we can't control it. Okay, so unforeseen circumstances may jeopardize your achievement. Okay, this is because if you have higher than anticipated costs, you need to add up some more costs. So this is unforeseen circumstances. The inclement of weather. Living in Perlis is such a blast, but somehow when you're doing an event, especially a running event or a sports event, you need to be very good at forecasting the weather inclement. But sometimes, even though that you're forecasting the weather inclement, sometimes it's inaccurate, because it is something that we cannot control. For example, that we are forecasting that today is going to be rainy, but if Allah wills, it's a bright sunny day, then it's become bright and sunny day. So this is what we call as something beyond our control. So as a project manager, you should be able to um, anticipate, prevent, and overcome such circumstances. Okay. So next we go to the project life cycle.